Okay, thank you so much. And oh, this actually just keeps going. Okay, so to start, first of all, I want to thank you, Dashlane, for the very kind invitation. And a small disclaimer: I hadn't yet had lunch yet, so I'm insanely hungry. So if something goes a bit off, I'm gonna blame it on the lack of food. Okay. So firstly, my name is André. I'm the founder and CEO of QuantumNova, the only company in the Iberian Peninsula that does post-quantum security as a service to organizations. So in this talk, I'm not going to be like talking like commercially wise. I'm going to try to raise a bit of awareness of this not very well known problem yet. So this is a bit of my background. So I studied, and my bachelor's degree is on computer engineering, and I had a master in cybersecurity. In well, this is Portuguese university. That don't probably doesn't really matter. In the meantime, because back then I thought like just having classes was a bit boring. I wanted to also work at the same time, which turned out to be like a very bad idea, but it still worked out. So I work in Montepio, which is a kind of a big bank here in Portugal. I work as a cybersecurity analyst. Was like a more generic guy. I work also in threat intelligence. So dark web, I also went there. So your talk was amazing. I got like a bit of a relatable feeling there. And yeah, so back at the end of that year, I worked there for almost a year, and I was recruited to work as a senior information security analyst in IQVIA, which is like a huge pharmaceutical American company. And yeah, and the same thing as with threat intel, vulnerability management, and on those two jobs, I understood something. So basically, very large companies have like a ton of vulnerabilities, like daily. Every time, like we try to run a scan, it always come up with some huge vulnerabilities that myself, well, when I worked there, some of them I knew how to fix them, and it was very annoying because I could not fix them. I had to like reach out to developers, like please do fix them. So I have always myself and my colleagues on the cybersecurity departments were always seen as like the annoying bad guys, if that makes sense. Like no one really cared about like myself, and they just want like, okay, this works, and then that's fine. I don't really like want to go there and actually fix the vulnerability. Like no one's gonna attack that like ever, and they are sort of right, but it's still annoying because myself as a cybersecurity guy, I want everything to be perfect and have no vulnerabilities. And I guess it's just impossible to happen. And when I was my master's dissertation, now relating to my quantum background, and I had like one teacher in particular that I became very, very close with, and he later on became my guide to my dissertation or my master's. So my master was about satellites. So I was a part of the team of the satellites here in Portugal. Actually, like the satellite that we're making was from like 2017 to 2021. Yeah, actually, we went to space like 2 months ago, which is amazing. We have like one satellite, like the second Portuguese satellite. It's running my algorithm, which is amazing. And yeah, thank you. And that algorithm that I did as my master's dissertation and on that team as well, it's actually not just for one satellite, it's for 3 of them. One of those satellites, so just have a bit of background, one of the satellites was called ADSV, so basically it's like one little guy that controls air traffic. Honestly, it isn't that good, it's just like an excuse to send something up there, which worked. And the other satellites is a 5G satellite, which is like a very fast communications one. And the third one, for myself, I think it's the most interesting one, it's a quantum satellite, so it's called QSat. And I mean, call it quantum, it's a bit like a big stretch because that's not really quantum. It has like a photonic sensor and antenna. Basically, it can send 1 qubit to down here to our ground station, which is in Oeiras here in Lisbon. And the ground station can send 1 qubit up there as well. So they have this like cool communication going on. Then again, quantum is a bit like a stretch to call it that, but it's fine. And well, just to this is just for a bit of a background. Myself, I was like super enthusiastic about this quantum stuff, and basically I spoke a lot with a lot of people when I was making the algorithm. And basically one day, one guy just called me. I even didn't have his number, and I typically don't answer those like kind of weird numbers. That's like, don't do that, people, okay? But I did that day because it was a Saturday and I was like sleepy or whatever. So I picked it up, and he was just like, okay, so you, Andre, I know what you're doing. I know your algorithm, and I'm curious to speak with you. Can we have dinner? I was like, okay, that's weird, but yeah, let's do it. So I joined him for dinner, and he basically, I spoke with him. I spoke a lot. Like I was super passionate about it, and he had just asked me like, okay, that's cool. I didn't understand anything, but that seems like amazing. Can you change that into a company? And that surprised me. Like I had no idea how to run a business. I didn't even never thought about running a business. Back then I was an IQVIA, so it's an American company, so I get paid like insanely well. So I didn't really even wanted to leave. So I just thought like, okay, maybe I have no idea what I need. I don't know. Like I don't know. And he like, okay, just give me like an I don't know, like an idea. Like what should you do? And I asked him like I don't even remember for sure. I think it was like 150,000 euros and like time like 2 months of time to join a team and something. And he was like, okay, I can give you like 10 times that on Monday, and that was a Saturday. It was like, okay, that should be interesting. And well, time went on, and other investors came in, and well, that's like basically like how QuantumNova was born. So basically, we received like 2 million euros, and with that, we started to doing some stuff. I'm not gonna say right now what we're doing because this is not the the best time on the presentation to do it, but for you just have a background on what we did. So just to have like a bit of more like a dynamic presentation, I don't like to like do monologues. So I'm going to ask you people, do you guys know what quantum computing is? What quantum physics is? You guys have like any idea? Who here has heard of quantum physics before? Okay, now who here like knows in detail what quantum mechanics are? Awesome. Okay, so the principle is not. Sorry?
I was saying I do and I don't.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, people like seeing the movie of Oppenheimer, like this amazing movie that came out. People be like, okay, this is like seems very, very complex. Well, it is, but the basic principles are not really that complex, honestly. The point here, like this beautiful invention, like this looks like very, very weird and very like, oh my god, this is a huge quantum computing. Well, the quantum computing part is like a very small thing down here, like very, very small. It's like the size of my phone, not even that big. So everything else is just something to make like the computer to be fault tolerant. I'm not going to explain what that is. Basically, just understand that quantum computers have a ton of errors, like a ton of them. And also those cables, weird cables, are what scientists use to make the quantum computer like insanely cold, like close to 0 Kelvin, because the less heat they have, the more probably are that we're not going to have any errors. So yeah, the quantum mechanics basics. So how quantum mechanics work. So I'm going to explain it like super, super briefly, and I'm going to like make a huge stretch for people not to start yawning because this is a bit boring. It can become boring very, very fast. So basically try to understand like what I'm receiving right now on my face are photons. And this is actually very, very hot. And these photons are just basically elements of light. So they can transfer energy from one point to another, okay? Do people here use sunglasses? Yeah? Okay, so sunglasses are one kind of quantum hardware. I know it's weird, but it is, because some sunglasses have some a feature that's called polarization. Okay? Basically, imagine like a photon, which is like a very small ball. It's not a ball at all, but imagine like a very small ball, like reaches a barrier, okay? And this barrier says, okay, if you are spinning to the left side, you can go through. If you are spinning to the right side, you cannot. So this basically filters the photons that are spinning to the left, they will be thrown out, and the photons that are spinning to the right can come in. So if I'm just like shooting a beam of light to this kind of polarization device, if I ask you guys what's going to be on the other side, you guys can say for sure, yeah, I absolutely know that's going to be a photon that's going to be turning the right side, right? And that's basically it. Like you can just filter light with that. Now we can make this a bit more complex. Like there's like one, you know what people, I don't know how to say it in English. It's called quartz, which is basically like a mineral. Well, it doesn't matter. People use that. Yeah. Like it's usually like we can learn this in like a science class. Basically, you have like a small like prism, and you can shoot like a beam of light here. Let's make it more easy. One photon, just one photon. So if you shoot it like directly to the beak of the prism, and you know for sure that this is going to be refracted to the left or to the right, and it has exactly the 50% chance, because you can make that happen, to go to the left or to the right. And if I close that and ask you guys, okay, I shoot one photon, and has it gone left or right?
Both.
Both at the same time. Yeah, we just will not. We'll just have sure when we open the box and just try to measure. Yeah, exactly. Measure the state of the photon. So yeah, this kind of devices, obviously, like you can do a lot of stuff with this, really a lot of stuff. I'm going to explain with a bit more detail further on. But this was the rise of quantum computing, and we already know this for decades now. We have done a lot of experience with this, and quantum computing. If you guys see the graphs, the amount of investment that is going to quantum computers and quantum companies, especially startups, it's like amazing. Like we've grown like 95% of investment since last year, and we're just in June right now. So the amount of investment in the quantum computer is amazing, just because we can do a lot of stuff and a lot of very innovative stuff with this. But don't worry, like you're never gonna have like a quantum computer sitting on your desktop. Like it's not gonna happen. Quantum computing is not meant to replace our typical standard computers. It's not meant to do that, okay? Or your phones, okay? That's not gonna work. You're never gonna have like a quantum phone in your hand, just because it doesn't make sense, right? Like these devices work with classical bits that you can do a lot of stuff with it. But quantum computers are just a tool to do something that classical computers cannot. For example, I like to do this like quick comparison. For example, is no copy paste like Control C, Control V. Yeah, quantum computers cannot do that. Okay, they cannot get data and send it to other side the exact same way. They don't do that. Or for example, sorting data on your Excel, right? You try to sort the table. Yeah, quantum computers don't do that. But what they can do is, for example, ambiguous equations, right? So equations that can have a probability of something at the end, which our classical computers, by the way, suck. Okay, classical computers take a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy to do that, and obviously security. It's something it's been talked about a lot here. Yeah, this is what I was saying. Sorry. Right. So here to quantum. Security-wise, quantum computers have something that they can do regarding asymmetric encryption. Okay, we have the algorithms, for example, RSA, Diffie-Hellman. Probably people have already heard of it. And for example, ECC, elliptic curve. These last two ones are very, very used on blockchain. So yeah, quantum computers are a huge threat to blockchain and companies that work with that. So year to quantum is the year that someone in the world will have a quantum computer large enough to actually decrypt asymmetric encryption protocol or standard. So just for you to understand how close we are to that. So 2021, the biggest quantum computer publicly known had 18 qubits. Okay, that sounds like almost nothing, and it is almost nothing. And to decrypt, just for comparison as well, to decrypt an RSA standard nowadays, for example, the 2038 bits, you need a 4,600 qubits quantum computer. Okay, 2022, so 2 years ago, the biggest quantum computer had in the world was 433 qubits. Sorry, my English is terrible today. And so it's a big leap, right? From 18 to 400 is a huge leap. And last year was 1,200 qubits of a quantum computer. Like we're getting close. Like what's going to be this year, right? Like maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000, maybe 10,000. We don't know. We just know there's like a lot of projects going on. Actually, myself, I've been part of 2 projects that are planning to be ended on the 2030. So we're like 6 years until the end of the project. But those 2 quantum computers will be around 1 million qubits. So we are very close to have a quantum computer that can, in fact, run one algorithm that I'm going to explain a bit further. That can, in fact, do this. But before that, I want to explain why quantum computing is a problem today. So there's like some trending on the attacks going on, especially on the dark web, called store now decrypt later attacks. Probably some people already know about this. Maybe sometimes it's used as a harvest now decrypt later. It's very, very easy to understand. Okay, myself, I can be in fact doing this to you guys right now, and you have no idea. So I can just be like sniffing the network packets here in the network, right? Because I'm connected to your network, so I can be doing this. And even though I cannot do anything without, I'm just receiving your packets, and your packets are encrypted with your public keys. So, right, so I'm just getting like trashed because that's an encrypted packet. I cannot do anything with it. But what if I can? Like I can be sending this to my company's server and be storing it right now. And whenever I have access to a powerful enough quantum computer, I can decrypt that, right? Like, what's stopping me to do that? And what's stopping attackers to do that as well? This is like a trend going on, which is like, well, you guys can understand like the impact of this. And just without quantum computers, you guys can see how much credentials have been stolen last year. So obviously, like this, 45% of them were already expired, but you still get the point. Yeah, as I said, start out the crypt later, being a trend, it's becoming more the biggest threat right now. And so just for you guys to understand, I'm not speaking this just to myself or to empower my business. This is actually being a trend and being spoken a lot in big agencies and especially in America. So Biden already signed the Cybersecurity Act called the Quantum Preparedness Cybersecurity Act in 2022, which is asking bigger companies, so especially banking, military, companies that have data that cannot be leaked, to actually start preparing right now some migrations to post-quantum technology or to QKD, so protocol BB84, which is a quantum safe protocol as well. So the evolution of cryptography. So we've spoken about a bit of how classical algorithms work, especially asymmetric ones, and there's been an involvement on ways to deliver keys. So we just for you guys to understand, it's a bit hard topic to explain in a very brief amount of time. This is like a full modulus in the Masters of Cybersecurity. This explained in like 2 minutes. But basically, you cannot just keep using the same algorithms just because they were safe. They've always been safe because computers and technology are evolving like insanely fast. Like you guys see that like 50 years ago, like the biggest computer there was, like had like what 14 or 16 bytes of RAM. And right now we have like these very small devices that have like millions of times more power than that. And the security has to grow as well. We have been using RSA, for example, for over 50 years. Even though it works, and I'm going to explain why it works, it's going to become something that is not safe. So to make this super simple, RSA works like this, okay? It's n equals to 2 variables, okay? Typically, it's called the Q and key. P and Q, sorry. And what we know publicly is that n, okay? N, when it's generated, is what it's used to be to make a public key. Those 2 numbers after that are what they are used to make the private keys of those connections, okay? And this protocol works just because it's very, very big, okay? So those numbers are 1/10 to the power of 100. This is like a very, very small RSA key, and I'm going to ask you guys that. How much time do you guys think a classical computer will take to break this key? So this is the public number, okay? So a public key, private key. Sorry, a public key. So how much time do you guys think like a classical computer will take to retrieve the private keys from that number? Maybe 1 day, 1 week, minutes, seconds. I'm talking like a classical, very powerful computer. 1 month?
No, but this is like what, 10 bits? No, 10 bytes?
No, it's a bit more, around 200.
200?
Will take around 2,000 years. Okay, it seems a lot, and it is, but it's still not considered a standard to be secure. So if I had this public key, and I am using a private key that came out for this, okay, if I'm using communication with you, this technically will be safe until like 4,000 or something year. So that will be technically safe. A quantum computer with Shor's algorithm will break that in less than 1 second. Like mathematically wise will be 0.86 blah 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 something. So less than 1 second. And then again, of course, like a quantum computer will be like super fault tolerant, will be like very, very big, very, very powerful, and so on. And probably we are not there yet, we don't know. But it's something that it is possible. I mean, I'm saying this like classical computers can in fact evolve into something very powerful that can in fact decrypt RSA. And we understand that it is possible. We just know, we like the quantum computing community, we just know for sure that when quantum computers will be that big and that powerful, it's for sure possible that Shor's algorithm will break the RSA encryption protocol. When I say RSA, like take it as like the main way to create these keys, because this way of creating keys is not just for RSA, it's also for Diffie-Hellman, also for ACC and the elliptic curve and so on. For example, this is a very small key, okay? Very, very small key. If you are using this key to communicate with each other, will be 9 minutes safe, okay? technically, this could be a standard for 9 minutes. If the communications are just used in 9 minutes, then that's fine. But you understand, like nowadays, this is not really the case. This is how Shor's algorithm works. Okay, so this is like a very, very complex subject. Okay, I'm not going to explain in detail because people will be like sleeping in 2 minutes. But Shor's algorithm is very, very simple in principle. You see, like this factorization, we do this. I remember I did this as a kid, like with like 4th grade or something. And I remember that we got one number and just tried to, well, we just like put numbers there and try to decrypt, like factorize that number. Shor's algorithm, that's basically what it does. But this can be done in like a classical computer, right? In fact, there is like a version of Shor's algorithm that can run on your computer. The problem is that one simple step of Shor's algorithm becomes almost impossible, which is finding this P. I'm not going to explain why this is happening because it's going to take a long time, but this P is the typical problem. Shor's algorithm exists just because it can compute a lot of probabilities at the same time to retrieve or at least get a very close approximation to that P. Even though if it does not find the full factors, it's not supposed to do that as well, but even though it's does not find the full factors of this number, it can find for sure super fast one of those factors. And then there's another algorithm called Euclid's algorithm. And again, it's very like it's been around for over 2,000 years. But that algorithm, what it can do is from one factor of that number, it can find all the other factors. And if you can find all the other factors, P and Q can be decrypted like exactly after that. And well, actually, this is just like a quick demonstration and just to raise awareness on the amount of keys that we use nowadays. So imagine like the data servers of Google or AWS or Azure Cloud. The amount of public keys that are there is just insane. So they are like a huge honeypot for people or someone or some agency that has already access to a powerful enough quantum computer. And we just don't know it nowadays. Imagine like some of those very problematic countries that I'm not going to speak, they are investing a lot in quantum computing. For example, I just want to say like China already has a quantum satellite since 2015. Okay, how like that was 9 years ago. Like where they are right now, they probably can have already a powerful enough quantum computer, and we just don't know about it. Like myself, if I had like the key to open all the locks in the world, I would never say anything to anyone, right? I can just do anything what I want, right? So just wouldn't make any sense. So what are the solutions to this? So I spoke before the QKD protocol, so the BB8, for example, the BB84 protocol, which is called the quantum key distribution. This is something that has been used by the industry for quite some time, which is basically trying to use quantum technology to create a way to defend yourself against quantum technology as well. So basically what you can do is, as I said before, you can split a photon into something that is a superposition, right? If it is a superposition, I can quickly make a stream of bits that are, well, equally far apart. For example, I can just put, I'm not going to explain the details of this, okay? But you can use the quantum gates called the quantum circuits, in quantum circuits, that you can, from one bit of one electron or one particle of electricity, create one superposition of called the qubits. And with that superposition, you can create a stream of what's called a quantum key. You can create a stream of qubits, and then you can like sell it. Not sell it, sorry. My English is not very good today. I apologize. I'm going to blame it on the food. You can just create a stream of numbers that no one can predict. It's called a quantum key. And that stream, you can duplicate it with another gate, and then you can have two keys that are exactly similar, not exactly similar, exact opposite. And the idea of this is that if I can have two strings that I don't know anything of it without measuring it, I can just send that key to someone else, and it's like that perfect security because it's so secure that I don't even know my own key, and that person doesn't even know their own key. But what I know, if when I look at my key, I just know for sure what their key is going to be. So this way we can share a key, like no matter how far away we are of each other, and then we are for sure making one communication after that using that key because no one else has access to it. Of course, this has like a ton of complications. First of all, it is insanely expensive. When I was a part of the Quantum Internet project here in Lisbon, we needed to buy some nodes to replicate this quantum streams, it's very hard to explain without having a bit more of background. I'm sorry, but basically, when you try to communicate with quantum information, this sucks. Okay, it's hard because you need to use fiber cables, so optic fiber cables, to share information, right? And this information is very like fragile. Everything will break that information. So the threshold of error becomes very, very large, even if the distance that you guys are communicating is not that far. For example, nowadays, like the furthest away communication with quantum information that we are ever made in Portugal was around 80 kilometers. So that's not very far. If I want to make a communication with a client, for example, in the United States, it's absolutely impossible. And not only that, like one node of these quantum nodes that we call here in Lisbon is something like this large and very, very heavy. It's around 100,000 euros to buy. And we need to buy around like 200,000 just to Lisbon, just to have like this huge communication network. The people are already making these decisions and have this investment. For example, Madrid in Spain already has like the largest quantum communication network in the world. But the investment that is necessary to do that is just off the charts. It's very, very hard. Even though, and not only that, if someone, that's a typical joke, like someone is walking, like try to, like they disconnect the cable of the of the electricity of those nodes. But if that happens in a quantum node, yeah, that's trash. That's never gonna work again. So it's very hard to maintain as well. Yeah, it has a lot of problems. So, but we are investing a lot, and sometime in the future it's gonna be a bit better. Right now, there's another alternatives, and someone spoke about this in their presentation. It's called post-quantum cryptography. That's what QuantumNova uses to to make everyone have quantum safe protocols inside the organizations. So post-quantum cryptography is something that you can use pretty much anywhere, on your phone, on your laptops, on your servers, on your data lakes. Everything it's already working and is already contains encryption can just have a very easy migration to post-quantum cryptography. We use, at the moment, we use Kyber and the dilithium algorithms. They have become the finalists of standardization by NIST, as in they are considered level 5 of security, which is the maximum level. Even though like there's a bit of, because it's very, very new, people don't really like to trust things that are very, very new in security. For example, RSA has been around for like 50 years and we know it is safe. Post-quantum, like these algorithms are being trying to be standardized since like 16 years. 16 seems a lot, but well, it's not really like the same as RSA, which is like 50 years. So what we do in the company, in the QuantumNova, what we make available to our clients is that we use hybrid keys. So basically, we apply elliptic curve as a hybrid solution to apply to the lithium or Kyber to develop the networks themselves. So this was a very brief presentation about quantum computing and the threats that it exposes our current cryptography and current protocols as well. We have a lot to show. We have a lot to grow as well. Actually, next week, we're going to make the official first year as a company. So it's our first anniversary. And yeah, but what we made possible and what we accomplished in the company in just this very short amount of time is very, very interesting. At the moment, we are the only company. I'm sorry, like my presentation is possessed. I don't know. It just keeps skipping slides. I'm so sorry. But at the moment, we are being the only company that's authorized to make post-quantum migrations to the Cybersecurity Center of here in Portugal. And also, we belong to the Cybersecurity Council of, Consortium in Europe that is able to make post-quantum migrations in an effective and scalable way. Because, yeah, then again, it's a very emergent topic and people are still not aware of this problem. And yeah, we're just trying to raise awareness. So please become post-quantum. Please understand the issue that if your company becomes a target of a quantum attack, it's not something that is going to be dealt with lightly. For example, it's not going to be easy if someday you're going to Twitter and you see like a fake account with all your databases exposed just because you made a backup and you received an SNDL attack on that backup process. So yeah, that was my presentation. If you want to have any questions and so on, please feel free to reach out.
We can take one or two questions. On the chat, there's a question. Do you have advices for companies doing harvest now with later attacks?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Do you have?
Oh, okay. So if I do have advices for companies doing harvest now decrypt later attacks. Right, so advices yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do to become safe of harvest now decrypt later attacks. For example, changing your IPs. I know, and I understand this is almost like super simple, but having a dynamic DNS can help a lot. Also, never use the same API keys for a very long time. Also change that as well. If you are using backups as well, do those backups using, for example, a VPN. QuantumNova, for example, it makes available to clients for a very low price because we are, then again, we receive a lot of financial support from Portuguese cybersecurity councils to make available to clients have such low charges to everyone to use post-quantum security algorithms to make this kind of backups. So creating these local networks using powerful algorithms of encryption is a very, very, very good way to become safe for a very long time of SNDL attacks. I hope I got your your question right. Sorry, you wanted to? Yeah, of course.
Yes, please. So you talked about how this could be a threat to the blockchain.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate a bit more?
Yeah, that's a very common question. It's very easy to answer as well. Imagine, like, blockchain are blocks, okay? Blocks, they are contain value, okay? So those blocks, whenever you try to create value with them, okay, you just participate in the blockchain, for example, by mining, okay? Mining creates blocks, and that's fine. But the problem is that when you want to make a transaction, okay, you are sending something in the network to someone else. Basically, in the packets, it goes that this is your identification token and some data that is required as well. This is the amount of value, and then again some amount of data that's not really relevant. And the target, so
Destination.
yeah, the destination. So the token of the person that's going to receive the value, and that's fine. But that packet is typically encrypted through the network using secure protocols. This is not fine because if this packet gets captured, okay, and someone has access to a powerful enough quantum computer, he can decrypt that super fast. And using that packet, he can redo the transaction, right? And instead of putting that value, for example, trying to send, for example, 1 Bitcoin, which is a lot of money, right? And if that packet gets, messed with, it can keep your
Source token?
your source. My English is terrible. I am so sorry. Keep the source, exactly, change the value, and change the final destination token. And then it's going to receive, for example, 100 Bitcoins. And then the blockchain loses the entire value because it's been messed with, it's been tampered with.
But
So
it looked like the blockchain would be obliterated.
yeah, of course, absolutely. It's
And
something that's
when-
going to happen like.
When are you expecting this to happen?
That's
just,
the prediction.
just for precaution.
So
So
yeah.
you said that it would be like around 4,000, not 4,000, 400,000 cubic.
No, 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah.
And last year, we already
At the
had.
moment, the biggest quantum computer that we know today publicly has 1,400.
Okay.
So yeah, we're getting close. But like, take this with a bit of grain of salt, okay? There's been a lot of forcing to blockchains trying to become post-quantum. For example, Ethereum has a lot of add-ons to the blockchain. So basically, people do forks in the blockchain and start the chain of themselves, right? There's a lot of those add-ons that are becoming post-quantum in the consensus of the network, and that's kind of the main issue right now. The consensus of the network feel like, okay, so right now we have this fork that all the transactions will be post-quantum. So what I have to do to become post-quantum, we just need to make the first transaction, and then we'll have access to the blockchain with the post-quantum fork, and then you're fine. The issue is that it is required to everyone to make a transaction, to everyone becoming post-quantum. If you have like your crypto wallet, right, and you don't mess with it, like you have like 60 Bitcoins there since like 2012, right? Yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be very cool. So you don't do that, you don't mess with that, and so on. And suddenly someone comes out to be like, okay, I have a quantum computer, and I will tamper with everything that is around Bitcoin. If you didn't make the transaction yet, the first transaction you will be doing, it will be using elliptic curve. So you're done. So yeah, it's not safe. So you lose value as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully I got your question. Yeah.
I mean, I just want to understand a little bit more of the details of what you were talking about. You said that if you mess with one of that particular case,
Yeah.
you're just hacking, you're just changing the chain, right? But you cannot go back
Not
and
changing the scheme. No. You're not changing.
affecting this, the next whatever you that from 1 Bitcoin to 100. So you hack one person, but that doesn't mean that you're changing, because the idea of the chain is that if you really want to hack it, you have to go all the way back to the origin, right? Block.
Yeah, you cannot do that. Yeah.
All right. So what's the okay? So we are talking about. So you cannot really this
You cannot go back.
big computers.
You can change the value to the further part, you know.
Right, but
That's why
that's
what
the hack.
transaction.
You're hacking someone. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what
exactly,
you did
exactly.
today with the bank.
Sounds like a man in the middle, right?
But okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Right,
Exactly.
but we're talking about, just want to make sure that these supercomputers, you know, like quantum computers are not all of a sudden trying to revert, you know, whatever. You can still go forward with the blockchain
Right.
and have
Absolutely.
a secure way of relying on something that is.
Not really. That's the
stable,
problem.
right?
Yeah, not really.
I mean,
With
yeah, so
both
what's
quantum,
the-
With post quantum, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The
Without-
issue is the blockchain has value, right? It has value because it is safe, and everything relies on encryption there, right? What does encryption do there? Because you can have like the access of all the transactions that have ever been in Bitcoin, and the blockchain never loses value because it doesn't matter. The blocks are created, the transactions are done. It's fine, right? The problem is that if your package is captured and it is decrypted, I can redo the packet. So basically like redo another transaction from your name to a different kind of values and a different kind of destination. We are not like going back in the chain. I'm just grabbing something that was done to redo further on the chain. You understand what I'm saying? Then you are tampering the chain, not changing what was done, but you are tampering with the future of the chain. So it loses value. Of course, it goes to zero basically, because there's no security. Like whenever you make a transaction, like right now you are sure that crypto wallet is gonna get the money. You know, after this you will never be sure again. So you are gonna trust in this kind of
Would you
process.
consider
Better
this a
than
blockchain
bank, I mean,
issue
bank.
or the transportation?
No, it is a blockchain issue. Yeah, it's a protocol.
I think it's going to be a very interesting conversation
Yeah.
around drinks.
Apologies. Thank you.